There we go. Thank you. It's all you. Thank you. Are you on mute? We can't hear you. Like we're having some technical difficulties. Thank you. Are you still there? I see you presenting, but I don't hear you at all. See what's going on. Sorry for the delay, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, Rob, this is Hemant. So I am trying to see why Venki is not audible. So he's in a conf room. I'll just check it. So guys, there's some technical fault. I'll just check it in a minute and get back to you.
All right. Thanks, Hemant. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
We should be getting this going here in a minute.
Yeah, I'll just try to get this rectified in a minute.
All right. Thanks.
Hello, guys, you there? दोबारा connect करो. Continue.
Thank you. You there?
Yeah, can you hear me, Rob?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah, Rob. So there was some technical fault here. So I think it should be working now. So when you will start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. I've been talking for myself then since last 5 minutes.
You have been, I think. So you have to start from the beginning.
All right. Okay. Not a problem. So this is a typical data protection architecture that we all know today, right? So we have agents, we have gateway, and we have our CMS. So as of today, the CMS, we all know, is responsible for managing events and storing the events into database and pushing them onto iConsole for the review purposes, storing the audit action of the reviewer for the auditing purposes. Right? So this CMS and iConsole, what we have for review purposes, are essential to review an event and correspondingly to store the review action for the auditing purposes. Now, we'll revisit this architecture when we are done with the review or audit action analytics part, what we can do with the analytics in order to review an event. So under the next slide, what we have is this is a problem statement which I've prepared inside our lab. So I'm sure that this would vary from environment to environment. So what this is all about? It's about number of reviews per day that comes in, and the reviewer spends how much time a reviewer spends in reviewing that and taking appropriate audit action. Right? So this, in general, so an average time that a reviewer takes to review an event is, let's say, half of a minute, and typical the number of events per day are 10,000. So if that's the case, how many hours a reviewer is spending a day, or in 54 hours, to review 10,000 events? Right? So reviewers need 54 hours of their time to review 10,000 events. Now in this process, there is a possibility of data loss, because if reviewer finds it a duplicate, a reviewer finds this event is similar to the one that I have just reviewed, then what he does is bulk select it and review it. So there is a possibility that an important event that must be escalated or that must be given an email to other reviewers is missed. So this is, and there are features now currently in with 14.6 and above versions. There are features to bulk review events and group similar events based on duplication. So all these process is to minimize the amount of time that is required for a reviewer to review an event. So in this process, what can be done with the PA data protection so that the audit action is accurate, right? Whatever the reviewer takes an action, that is accurate, and still if reviewer can spend significantly lesser time than the started point at 33 minutes. Yes, so that is possible when we can predict the possible reviewer action for an event. What happens, let's say, when I have received an event and I'm clicking on it from my iConsole as a reviewer, I selected that event. What if iConsole can show you that possible review action can be this? Because we have been learning, the system has been feeded with several hundreds of events, thousands of events, and equally reviewers are taking actions, and that audit action is being stored into the database. So can we not learn from the data that is available and predict the next possible reviewer action for the event? Yes, so we can do it. We have almost all the data that is required to come up with a greater accuracy and predict it. Right. So what accuracy would be good? Yes, that would be certainly very important point to note how much accuracy is required to believe that this prediction is good enough to follow, or this prediction is, the confidence level is just 60% or 50%. No, I want to dismiss it. I want to review it by myself and take an action. Yes. So we can come up with greater than 90% accuracy in order when we determine or when we predict the possible reviewer action. Let's see how it works when we have given the test data, how it worked in our lab. So the total events are 1 million events we have fed with, and so here the term, I'll just give a brief overview of the terms that I've talked about. So train data. So the train data is assuming, now let's say I have 850,000 events in my database, and all these events are reviewed So there is an audit action associated with it in my database. Now, when the next event is coming, 850,001, now I will predict what would be the possible reviewer action for that would be. So the train data is all about the events that are stored in your database with audit actions. And the test data is all the remaining, the new events that are coming up. So here we have taken 150,000 events that we wanted to predict. Let's see how accurate we will get the data and how accurate the possible reviewer action this analytics engine can predict. So in this prediction table, a small table, so there are 4 possible audit actions that we have taken. One is commented, event viewed, issue updated, mailed, event. So this prediction of the test data has given us commented. It predicted saying that out of 150,000 events, 10,309 are going to be commented. So it's predicted it. And events viewed is this number, issue updated 1590, and mailed events are 151. So this is a prediction of the given train data, test data. So where did this learn from? The available 850,000 events. So the more events that are available in the database with existing audit actions, the better and the accurate the prediction will be. Now, how does it work behind the scenes? And certainly I would expect this question, okay, you are saying when 850,001 event comes in, you are saying that this possible audit action for this would be commented. Now, okay, so I want to get into the details and see, I want to understand how you came to this prediction. How come your analytics engine predicted this? Yes, so we can look at that this way. So what we have done here in the lab, what we have done is we have available parameters, right? Currently we store certain parameters in our database. So I hope you all are able to see the Excel sheet.
Yep.
These are the events with a different title, right? So these all are available across the various tables in our database. Now we have considered all these, starting from your event ID, user ID, group ID, even timestamp, subject, right? Trigger, match text. See, these are the important criteria when we want to come to a conclusion that okay, this would be your possible review or action. And based on this, these are already available in the database. Now, from this, what we have prepared some new parameters so that the prediction logic comes into applicability. So I have created something called day split, that is the time of the day, at what time did that event come in, and what was the user action, and what was the policy class that got triggered, and what was the severity. Right? So when I say that the possible reviewer action is commented, and I would say the confidence level is 100%. How can you be so confident? Now give me the rule behind it. Give me the logic behind it. It's certain that we would want to see that. So here is the rule. If the event day split, that is the time of arrival, is afternoon, there's a time slot I've allocated for that. So if the user action for that trigger was heated warning, if the policy class that it belongs to is additional PII, and the severity of that was less than or equal to 2, it belongs to commented class with accuracy of 100%. So this is the next layer where you will also get the details behind that logic, behind that prediction. Similarly, this one is with lesser confidence. If all I have for the new event is just the matching criteria, is just user action, which is heated warning, but I do not have any other matching details with me for the new event, then that would be commented with 51% as a confidence. So like this is a layered view in order to believe or discard the prediction. This level can be provided to reviewers. Now, let's get in more detail. So what was the algorithm behind this in terms of when it comes to analytics, right? So we have different types of problems, right? One is we have classification problems, we have scoring problems, we have ranking problems. So in that, this particular item belongs to classification problem. In the industry, we have, for classification, we have the popular knife-based models and another popular C 5.0, we call it as a decision tree. So there are two models. So what we have done in the lab, we have compared these two initially to begin with, how these two are behaving with the data. So which model to go for, whether to go for C 5.0 or to go for knife-based. Right? So the decision tree has given us splendid results with a greater accuracy, that is 92% across all the events that are generated. And naive-based. So naive-based has, because every model has its own strength. Right? So naive-based works well when you have categorical variables, and decision tree works well when you have numerical variables. So we had to convert all the parameters into numeric and then apply it to the decision tree. That's where we get a better accuracy with the given data set what we have in our database. So like this, we can take up different models and showcase the prediction with given amount of accuracy. So 92% accuracy is phenomenal to achieve in terms of in the industry in analytics today. And we have all the data and we have generated that new parameters in order to reach to this. Well, so reviewer has a new event has arrived. Reviewer now knows, okay, what is possible prediction that is this data protection analytics and engine is giving to me. 92%. Okay, I'll go ahead and review it as per the prediction, or I would get into the details and understand what's the logic behind this conclusion or behind this prediction before I take an action. Yes, your choice. And the third one is, no, I just want to do it manual review. Yes, continue to do it. So the three various options we have here. And how easily we can integrate this into product, right? And what is the cost for this? Do I need to sacrifice my performance, or do the iConsole interface becomes clumsy? What are the costs associated with this new feature, with this new engine altogether? So there are different models that have come up with initially, and I think this is a place where we are open for your feedback, your inputs, and the practical applicability. So one of the models that I was, we were brainstorming internally is that we have the iConsole for the reviewers actions, and then we have a CMS, right? So CMS now not only the current services, but it also hosts analytics engine inside it. This is one model, deployment architecture. Now, so far it has been communicating with databases like SQL Server or Oracle. Now, depending on the data size and depending on how much data that we want to feed to this model, we can go for NoSQL databases. So, like NoSQL, like starting from MongoDB, CouchDB, or graphical representation, this would be a great place if we can do when we want to bring in text analytics into picture, Neo4j, Infinite Graph, the graph-based databases. So these 4 different types of databases, NoSQL databases, we can adopt and put this in place into architecture and get it. So this is one deployment. And another one is right now TA data protection allows to deploy data warehouse. Right? So extend this data warehouse. Extend this data warehouse to store these new columns. Now, so in order to analytics engine to calculate or to predict that particular value, it needs to process the data and it needs to create new parameters every time. So it learns as the events come in. So until today there are 100K events, tomorrow there will be 120K events. So it learns the next day, not just based on your, so your the very 121K event is based on 120K events learning, not just 100K event learning. So your analytics engine sits on top of your CMS and we add new parameters to the existing data warehouse. So the beauty with this architecture is we do not need a separate deployment databases or servers. Right? And we all know the cost associated with this is the performance of CMS. Right? So when the number of events grow or number of requests for CMS grows, the CMS now has to allocate its processor time not only for the DB processing but also for the analytics engine. So the alternate approach for that is let's have independent analytics engine which talks to CMS and CMS continues to talk to iConsole to give the prediction. So essentially what we would get is we would deploy another analytics engine in a machine in your network, and that would continue to talk to the CMS and it would communicate with the data warehouse that you have deployed, which this analytics engine will create new parameters that are needed for its prediction, for its algorithm calculation. So these are the possible deployment architectures, and then so with this the new iConsole, will there be a drastic change to iConsole? No, it would continue to be the same interface that you have been used to, and what we would come up with is a new either icon or how do we want to do it. Maybe there would be another interesting discussion which we can come up with to identify the easy user interface. So this analytics engine will come into the picture between CMS and iConsole, and it continues to talk to your CMS and the iConsole. Now, from iConsole side, either when I select this event, the very first one on the slide, 2015 annual enrollment, let's say when I select it, either I can come up with saying, okay, there is a mouse over coming up saying that, okay, possible prediction is commented, or possible prediction escalates. Confidence level 92%, confidence level 70%. So that's one way, or we can introduce a new icon on this review pane where you can click on it to find out what's its prediction and go to the layer 2 or level 2 to find out how the analytics engine has come to that conclusion. So it's a multi-folded, like three-folded basically. First level you get this prediction and its accuracy. Second is what is the logic behind it. And third, you can still further dig into it, say what events in the past have contributed to this prediction. So this is the three-folded architecture that we are initially planning to introduce. So this is pretty much about reviewer action prediction from data protection side, when what data analytics can do with the data protection. This is something to begin with, right? And what else can be done? What else can be done? So as we all know, the false positives, right? So it's the policy engine core logic is based on keywords. So we trigger a policy based on a keyword. We trigger a policy based on your regular expression. So there is a possibility, very much possibility of coming, of getting false positives. Now, analytics can reduce or minimize this number of false positives that we get. That is, a policy engine detecting an event as threat when it is not. That is false positive that we get today. And false negative. What if policy engine not detecting an event when it is a threat? What if reviewer is falsely auditing? Can we not take action about it? Yes, analytics addresses this problem with respect to our CA data protection. So, and another category where we can look into is policy effectiveness. All right, so I have set a policy. Now, how effective is it? How many times that got triggered in the past? Or whether that could be very few times or very high. Now, depending on that insight, you can take an action whether the policy is really effective or you want to enhance that policy. Another interesting area where analytics can be deployed into data protection is excuse me. So anomaly keyword detection. Let's say all is well. Now you are as a excuse me. So as a policy engine, what you do is whatever the keyword I give in my policy engine, you catch it and show it. What if there are encoded keywords are being used? All right. So if I use, let's say, word Apple when I want to represent stock market, when I want to refer to a XYZ company, I will say something else like Coke. Can policy engine detect that? No, because I don't think you set up a policy with a word called Apple to detect the Apple word. Now, yes, the analytics, the text analytics, especially when we have to be specific, text analytics can address this problem, can solve this problem, that it learns over a period of time that this word is being repeatedly coming in. So it gives an insight to the reviewer that do you want to consider this or is it okay? So you take that consent. You will now have an idea what is what is going on, not just with the given text, but actually the encoded text also can be detected now. And what more can be done is user behavior pattern. When we want to observe a particular user or group trend, how the email trend is going on, or how the user behavior, depending on the kind of events being captured or the kind of triggers that are getting, or kind of reviewer actions. So based on different criteria, we can predict the pattern, user behavior pattern. So these are namely few of the items that we can think of coming up with the data protection. So there is a lot we can do and we can leverage in terms of to be compliant or to be fast when we review it, and to detect as many as threats or data loss possible going out of the organization with analytics. So it's just beyond the keywords, it's just beyond the regular expressions, but also a learning mechanism. Machine learning algorithms are coming up into analytics engines, so to begin with, as we have seen how reviewer audit action works. So that's our first step, and then all these are in the pipeline. Now we would like to listen to your feedback and your questions on what would be more suitable to you when we want to take this up in a big way. And so there are a few more graphs just to showcase what else can we can do. So this is all prediction, forecasting, right? A classification, scoring, ranking that we have seen. Now, by looking at it, can I get some insights with the graph? Yes, certainly. So this data analytics gives great data points for your business intelligence reports, like let it be a crystal report or let it be BI or Boxy or just a soft, anything. So this analytics gives very important data points wherein you can get insights into your data trend, insights into your user behavior, insights into your reviewer actions. So for example, so this graph shows that reviewer action by time slot of the day. So afternoon, the majority of the events, the reviewer has marked them commented during the afternoon timeline. And this is evening. The green in the evening and the blue is in the morning hours. So similarly, user action against policy. whether the user heeded the warning or ignored the warning. For additional PII policies class, majority of the time it's heeded warning. And similarly for PII account number policy class, it's heeded warning. And these many times, like 178K times, it's ignored warning. So this gives a kind of insight into the data to showcase. So this is a monthly based, how many events have been, how a reviewer has taken action against the event on a monthly basis. So Feb, Jan, and March. So February, majority of the events, like 314K events are commented. And events viewed are 311K. And then issue updated is 30K and mailed event is 22K. So these are a few glimpses I wanted to show what we can do with the analytics with respect to data protection. And we have good amount of data. And I'm sure every customer, like you have huge data that you want to get meaning out of it, and which can be accomplished as an integral part of the data protection. So with that, I'll open up for question and answers, and then your feedback.
Anyone have any questions, feedback, suggestions of where we should be looking to do your analytics? Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. This is Nick Suri from CA. I have to say I didn't pick up a lot of that stuff really, but the question I had was, are you using these analytics to actually generate actions based on probabilities?
Yes, that would be definitely a part of this. Potentially having, if the confidence level is really high on a certain triggered event, maybe we don't have the reviewer actually review it at all. So this would definitely come into play for some of those actions.
Have you taken that to auditors at all and seen how happy they are with that?
We have not yet. This is, again, it's really early stages, so we've really gone through support services internally, get for feedback, and now we're reaching out to customers as well, as other CA people too, to get more additional feedback. So it's not something that's set in stone. We're really looking for the feedback you just provided there. So I think that's a viable question and something we should follow up on.
Can we have copies of that presentation?
Yes. Yes, we can do that.
Great.
Are there any other questions or things you're seeing in the market that we should be more focused on maybe than what we're focused on right here? Is some other means of analytics going to be more beneficial?
Rob, it's Mick Goodlick from RBS. Can we see it in action? I'm actually still struggling to understand what the use case is, to be quite honest. Like Nick says, from an auditing perspective, if you got 10,000 breaches in your database on a daily basis, they expect you to audit all of them out. So if this is neglecting the effort to audit a breach, you need cast iron guarantees to audit of why you're not auditing a false positive, even if it means nothing, to be quite honest.
Okay. No, I think definitely adding the reviewer, the audit piece to this is definitely a critical area. Then that's kind of why we're reaching out to everyone here to get this feedback and say where we need to go. The use cases, there's a few of them here. It's really seeing what the reviewers are actually doing, so you're actually potentially enhancing the audit capabilities because maybe some of the reviewer actions are not correct, and we're actually capturing these using analytics. So those can be addressed internally. Also doing policy effectiveness. Why are we triggering a policy so much? And what's the result of that? Are we getting a lot of false positives by triggering a certain policy? Do we need to refine that policy? Why is one other policy not getting triggered so much? Do we need to inspect that and see what's going on with that policy as well?
Okay, but why don't you look at this from a different angle and look at how you can enhance the policy engine itself so you get rid of the noise when it processes an email, rather than trying to do analytics after the event?
So well, that's also going to be part of it as well. I mean, reducing that noise. I mean, you're talking really kind of for machine learning, technically, at that level, right?
Yeah. So currently the false positive section, right? So even in the presentation, right? So absolutely, that has to be identified before even the event gets stored into the database. So our idea is also to implement that logic into the policy engine. So we identify that a particular event that is coming in is a false positive, or that I'm going to create is a false positive. Yes, so that will be part of policy engine, not actually analytics engines which is sitting at the database for to read the event. So that's for a different purpose, right? So that's now when we want to say look at reviewer action prediction. Yes, we need to look at the past events. Now, when I want to predict the live in transit event and so identify if it's a false positive or not, yes, I would still need analytics engine support for the historical data, for my classification identification, and that will be the input to the policy engine so that the policy engine can take action against the current event in transit.
Okay, I think I got some of that. All right. I can see the concept you're trying to go down here, but the only problem with this is, again, you're looking at it from a very siloed perspective, because from a trade reconstruction, you've got to think about trade and voice comms as well. And if you're only going to chuck this into an analytics engine for email, the obvious question head of compliance is going to say to you is, well, what do I do about my trade and my voice? If you want to get like a holistic overview of what traders are doing, basically, from each of the comm stacks.
Exactly.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong. I appreciate you've got to start somewhere, but you're still looking at it from a siloed perspective from e-coms when you've got other bigger fish to fry out there. Voice is still in its infancy at the moment. The voice vendors are trying to sell the banks e-com surveillance solutions, and they reckon they can do e-com surveillance, which is a different topic. But yeah, I think chucking stuff at the metadata into a data warehouse and then either indexing it or whatever you're doing with it, I think you need some more focus on that, really. And also from a review, I mean, can you demonstrate this now in the iConsole? That's what I'm trying to understand at the moment, of what the reviewer sees and how they action it, or how they. Can you do that at the moment? I thought, because it was a demo, you were going to show us something rather than just going through a presentation.
No, it was going to be a presentation. Go ahead, thanks, sorry. Yeah, so this is a presentation. What I can show you for, so this iControl part is your user interface, right? So this is what I want to see it. But I can show you how I've come to this conclusion, but based on the reading, how I've stored it. Okay, so if you look at this, right, this is the actual data. For the presentation purposes, instead of reading it into database, what I've done is I've put it into an Excel file. A huge amount of data this is.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So this, and what I've done on top of it, right? So on top, give me a minute, I'll just open that.
So just backtrack here. So that little icon, you've got the icon still, yeah? So does the reviewer hit that button then, does he? Or her, sorry. Can you just go through the steps here of what you're expecting the L1 reviewer to do here?
So on this slide you're saying, so what is the, I didn't get your question. Can you please repeat?
I said, can you just go over what you're expecting the L1 reviewer to do here from an icon tool perspective?
Yeah. So this is, assume that this is a new event that has come in, the top one on this slide.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and so what I would show as soon as you select this, right? For review purposes, you would select it, and probably you would go through the email and the triggered keywords, highlighted keywords here, and the issue details here, all that, and then the reviewer takes an action. That's a typical scenario today. Now, so with this, as you select it, there would be a mouse over text which is coming up saying that possible, the predicted action is escalated, confidence 90%. That's what I'm expecting. And so we give a suggestion, recommendation immediately. So it's a recommendation. As soon as that particular event is selected, the recommendation comes up and tells you that this is possibly escalation, 90% confidence. So now the reviewer goes and clicks here to escalate, or clicks here to review, or clicks here to send an email based on the prediction, if confidence level satisfies him.
Okay.
Did that answer the question?
And then the actual confidence level is mapped in that rules text file you pulled up, yeah?
Yeah, so the confidence level.
Rule 2, rule 3, and you've got the confidence levels in that text and that rule-based document, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. But the underpinning of this is the accuracy of the policies and the trigger against in the first place.
Yes, so that's what we were discussing, right? I'm sure this is an interesting and important question, because confidence level, how did we come to that? Is an important part to understand even for the reviewer for auditing purposes. That's the reason we try to show these rules, right? So in the next section, let's say now you wanted more details about how did you come to this conclusion or the confidence level. These are the parameters, new parameters that I've created from the data available in the Excel sheet that I've shown. So the day split, if the event day split is afternoon, user action is heated warning, and the policy class is additional PII, from my database, right, if the severity is less than or equal to 2, if a new event satisfies all these 4 conditions, the category would be commented and the confidence level is 100%. The probability of this happening is 1. This 100%, I would categorize that new event into this class. So hence, my prediction says, okay, prediction is commented and accuracy is 100%. And for these, if the size of the email is 125K, greater than 125K, less than this, the class is commented and the confidence is 99.99. So this is how the next level, right? When you click on it, you would get the additional details, how I come to this conclusion, how this analytics engine comes to this conclusion. And the next level, there would be a third multipolar, like third tier, is, all right, now show me all the events that contributed to this. The rule 1, let's say rule 2 or rule 6. So that would be a third level where you click on it, okay, it would show you what, list of events that contributed to this prediction.
Okay. So what happens if the user action is silent capture for everything you review, and you've got a post-review model, and you don't use heated warnings or?
I missed it again.
We don't use severities as well. 1, 7, 2 fields are at the box, and you don't use them. Have you talked about that scenario? I can understand what you're saying there. You're building a confidence level based around the action, the policy class, and the severity. But what happens if every single user action is silent capture, and the severity is blank because you don't use it, and the business don't need to use it?
Oh yeah, so that time the algorithm, right? The algorithm builds up and comes up with a low confidence. So the reviewer definitely doesn't choose to go with the prediction. So above all, what analytics gives us is a recommendation. Right? The probability of this happening, that's what it can give. The probability of this happening for this event. So analytics is all about, right? So probability of happening this case, or probability of classifying this particular event, or So when we have unique user actions, reviewer actions in the past, then definitely this model gives you very low confidence, and so hence the iConsole also shows low confidence. It shows an action, possible action, but confidence level is low. So the reviewer certainly doesn't want to go with the recommendation. He would manually review it.
Okay, so that example you gave, you pull it escalate to management, so it's already been reviewed. So realistically, what you're saying is it's going to give you a confidence level on an unreviewed breach in the database if you don't want to review it, if you ain't got time to review it, and it's going to give you that confidence level based on these rules you're set up basically, and the analytics engine.
Okay, maybe I need to clarify this. So these rules are learning. Every day they get refined. It's not static. Okay. So these rules.
But if nothing changes, as Mick said, if you've got basically the same severity, the same score, for each event, because imagine if you're using P8 parameter 8 in your policies. That means all your policies are going to score 101. If severity is the same for each policy, I suppose what we're both questioning is if there is no variety in the nature of the event data that you store, then there can be no intelligence gathering and in these rules, can there?
Yes, that's right. That's right. So if there is no history, relevant history, these models would not give results, would not give the good predictions. And these, as I'm just telling, so these get refined. This one now it has come up with 23 rules when I've run it. Now if I add another let's say 50K events or 20K events, then the number of rules will change and the rules also change. That's a machine learning, right? So it learns in a periodical time. That's again configurable. Whether you want to learn periodically or you want to learn event by event. So this algorithm gets refined. The rules get redefined every time you learn it. It's not static. Yeah, I think I should have clarified that.
No. I mean, end of the day, I appreciate you can have different rules in there, and you can expand the rules. Like, I can see there you've got size of email, greater than or less than. Yeah, I agree. I mean, in principle, it sounds, like it does sound like a good idea, but I think based on the examples you've given us, like Nick said, on the user actions and severity, and I think you need to get a better grasp of what the investment banking requirements are now, basically on the horizon, because what they were 3 years ago is not what they are today, I can assure you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and
I understand that. Yeah.
You need to start listening to your customers in investment banking of what we want. And ideally, do we want this? Yeah, we do, but we want it across trade and voice as well, not only email. Yeah.
Yes. That's definitely part of this as well.
With all due respect, and we've got bigger fish to fry here in London with attestation and making sure that everything we consume is all accountable from a completeness and accuracy level. Yeah, and that's what's breathing down our neck at the moment. So everyone we supervise is who we should be supervising, and all the feeds we take in from all the upstream agents is everything we're getting on a daily basis. That's more important at the moment for us than having a confidence level in the database with a of somebody not reviewing. Basically it's we don't want to review 30% of these breaches because the confidence is quite low. Basically, I mean that's the engine telling you basically. Conceptually, I can see where you're going with it, but like I said, you generally need to get some proper use cases here at your customers of exactly how this is going to fit in the banking model, and not the shoehorn into the security BU, which I guess you're trying to do at the moment.
Well, no, that's really why we're having these. I mean, there's really minimal development done. It's really identifying what the use cases are, and we really need your assistance to do that. Make sure we're setting the right parameters, gathering the right information. Now, where is this going in the next 5 years? That's the stuff we need feedback from you guys in order to build this properly. But it is completely flexible, and we can meet those use cases. It's really just identifying those at this point. And I agree completely with the voice, voice, IM, email, social media. You need all those to really get a full picture of what's going on, especially for some type of trader or something in general. It gives you that wider view of instead of one stream of communication.
No, it does, Rob, and I'm not doubting you there. But if I said to you tomorrow, can you suck in all this voice data into this analytics engine? What would the answer be?
Well, we can't pull in voice information yet. So they go hand in hand, but they're also separate solutions. Taking in voice and applying policy to voice, we could, that could be one step. But also providing the analytics on the back end is required for doing some really robust things in the future.
So it is, I agree, but it comes down to you've got to get, you can see here there's a dependency on getting the information out of the database. You've got to get it in there first before you can get the analytics engine working by the looks of it with this data warehouse model you're suggesting. There's still a dependency on getting this stuff into Orchestra.
Well, that's going to be, any type of analytics is going to require back-end information and data to really determine what those analytics, what those probabilities are. If you don't have data, you really don't have anything.
Yeah, but okay. So going back to the question is, what can you feed into it? How can you feed it into it?
Well, once we can start feeding voice, email, IM, social media, all those information into data protection, then we can start capturing on the back end through analytics as well.
Right. So there are a couple of approaches, right? Yeah. So there are a couple of approaches we can, in general, in practice in the industry. So one is you query the database live, which is costly in terms of performance, right? And the other one is you take a backup of your DB and push it into the analytics DB separately. So the analytics engine, the machine learning algorithms gets executed in a scheduled time and learn from the new data that is pushed into the database. So where this way there would be no performance in the part of CMS or any for the any transactions in the current deployment. So it would be a parallel DB that is a backup from the live DB on a scheduled basis, and analytics engine learns from it on a scheduled basis. Then we are dealing with the events that are stored in the database. Now, when it comes to the live events, right? The live event, when the policy engine one that we were talking about, the false positive detection. So the policy engine now gets the input from the analytics engine. So it doesn't talk to CMS or it doesn't directly query the database. So the performance bottleneck, I believe you rightly said that database and CMS are already, if I have more clients, they are getting close to their performance benchmarks. So we do not want to hamper that deployment. So we would rather prefer this kind of where you have a backup of existing database every day and analytics engine process it and feeds to the policy engine on live, and so that the policy engine takes an action.
Does that make sense?
Not really, no. if I'm really honest. I mean, at the end of the day, you can walk into any investment bank and show them this data, and they say, yeah, we can get Autonomy to do that. We can consume it in Autonomy. And that's what a lot of them will say. They'll have a big data box sat there, indexing everything, and doing very similar analytics over it.
Right. which is, again, there's definitely value in that as well, but I think I see where you're going with it. But it needs to be applied real time, but the applying it real time is completely impacted on what you've already processed. That's how you get the probabilities and be able to modify the real time policies and how you want to interact with voice, email, whatever. You need that back-end information.
Yeah. You do. But for me, for this, the two dependencies are consuming the feeds, whatever feeds you want to chuck into it. Yeah, that's the first thing you've got to work out of how you're going to take the feeds. You know, if I said to you, we're going to take some raw OCS files out of SQL database, can you consume that in Orchestra? No, you can't.
Right.
You've hit a brick wall already. Yeah, there's some Bloomberg conversion tools in there, but that's only half of it. If I said I want some Reuters IM, Reuters DLS tracker, I want some Twilio stuff to put in there, you can't do it. So you've got to think about how you're going to consume stuff to get it in there, to get the classification engine working.
Absolutely.
That's the first part of the problem you've got.
And that's, I mean, again, it's not mutually exclusive, but getting the information in and without analytics, getting the information in is really a separate subject. Getting in there and applying what we have today is great. But getting in all these feeds and adding analytics to that is even better. But you're right. The first step is really to get that information in there.
You know, you need a parser which will parse everything under the sun, basically, what you feed at it.
Yep.
Yeah. If I'm honest with you, and that's what you need. If you can get a parser to do that, parse everything, apply your market abuse policies over the top of it with the PE, and then get the data analytics on the back end, then you could have something here. But I think you're a long way to go yet before that. I think you're trying to run it before you can walk, but personally, yeah.
Well, we have both of them on the roadmap. You know, we have the ability to try and get this information in there, whether it be voice, IMs natively. That's all part of this as well. But this will also do in the background.
Yeah. I can see utopia, what you're trying to get to here, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, absolutely. But like I said, you know, until you can start parsing anything anybody throws at you, like you said, you know, at the moment you can only do Bloomberg, email, and IM, and that's it. You know.
Yep, I completely agree.
But the conceptual idea, I can see what it sits. Absolutely. Yeah.
No, I completely agree. They go hand in hand to get the full picture. They're both required. That is utopia, getting everything, including analytics, in there. So, but providing some of this, if we're also able to then provide the inputs and then expanding analytics, you know, there's some value there too.
Yeah, no. And I think Nick Surrey made a good point about the audit and stuff. Most, if not all, auditors internally will say you've got to review. If someone's breached something, you've got to review it. Yeah, you can't just do a sample set. You can't just do 60% of the breaches and leave 40% on review. Because you're counting on this to go and say, the 40% you haven't reviewed, it's done that. You know, it's analytically it said, I need to look at this, even though I've not viewed it.
Right.
Yeah, that will not wash with audit. I can absolutely tell you now.
Okay.
Yeah. You know.
That's good feedback.
Otherwise, you just turn the policy off when it's got too much noise in it. When you trim the noise out, one or the other. So.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, I've got to jump off. So, but yeah, thanks for the the PowerPoint. I won't exactly say it's a proper demo. I was expecting to see something really, but you know, if you want to speak to me and Paul offline about it, then please do reach out to us. So.
Yeah, again, is obviously we want to get this in front. We don't want to go down the development path to actually really truly have a full solution without getting feedback at this level, like we're getting now. It's really fail fast or make the changes you need before actually producing the product. So I apologize if it was miscommunicated to you. But the intent is obviously we have some of this working in the background as a demoable, not truly yet, but obviously based on the feedback we received today, there's some good changes that we need to make and consider before really providing that demo.
Yeah, yeah, and also you've got to think a lot about reporting, because I can tell you now some of the reporting modules you get out there, especially from the voice guys, are amazing. What we can get out of the reporting side of it. It's mind blowing what they present to you. Now you can chop it and carve it up, and yeah, I can assure you.
Great.
Yeah, they're massively on. I don't just mean dashboard stuff. I mean true, reporting and especially analytics around reporting. To be quite honest, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, without trying to modify a universe in Boxy, just trying to get things working. It's everything's basically the business end can do it. That's what you're looking at, really. But okay, I need to jump off. So thank you, time. Okay.
Thanks. Any other questions before we go? Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you all joining, and hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks.
Thank you.